this. Ooh, what is that? Okay. Good morning, guys.
What's up? What's up?
So today we're gonna be doing something a bit different. We are going to be interviewing Emmanuel, who is a financial advisor. So he is a financial advisor to different people in church. He's a financial advisor based on all about financial advice and how to be financially free, how to escape debt, which I know a lot of us have. This is gonna be a more formal type of interview. Usually we do more laid back, chill, but because of the sake of time that we have, we're only gonna do this for about an hour. We decided to take a more formal approach, and if anybody has any comment in the sections, we will be trying to pick those out too, so that he can answer them to the best of his abilities. So, that being said, I'm going to allow JP to get started. JP.
Yes, and Rise, your mic might have a little bit of technical issues there. Typically you come back and leave, but being that it's Saturday at 1 p.m. and this is completely outside of our realm, I expect a lot of people to come on the comment section after the show. So, regardless of the fact, we'll be promoting this on our next live stream, which will be on Sunday at 7 p.m. So, regardless of the fact, you guys will have an opportunity to see this because it will be staying up on Rise's channel. With that being said, Emmanuel, introduce yourself to us. Who are you? You're just an alien who's just on it's in the word show, and nobody knows the personal life. What's going on here?
Cool. So as you guys said, my name is Emmanuel. I am originally from New Jersey, but my new home now is in Miami for the past 4 years. And I've been here, just hustling and grinding, doing whatever to get out of debt. Um, at this moment, I work for a nonprofit called Be Strong International, and we focus on healthy relationships and avoiding risky behaviors. And I'm very passionate about finance and very passionate about working with the youth and teaching them God's word. And I'm a husband to a beautiful wife, you know, and that's it.
Awesome. So, since we only have X amount of time, you are married, but you didn't necessarily have the fattest bank account. You had a lot of debt. You necessarily weren't in the stereotype. You weren't in the stereotype kind of circumstance to get married.
Mhm.
Which is fat bank account, great job, all of these things. How did you maneuver your way into that direction? What was step A, and then what was
Well,
step A? Let's stick to step A.
yeah. Well, I mean, when my wife at that time, when we became engaged, we were having those conversations about money. We already knew how much debt I had. I knew how much debt she had because it's not something that, if we're gonna get married, we have to know these things. These things cannot be hidden and then come out later in marriage. That can, be a dangerous problem. So throughout the marriage, throughout the engagement, I was already following a plan of coming out of debt, my debt, because obviously if I'm not married to her debt is not my debt, you know. Then a little bit after, right before getting married, we were already talking about what we're going to do to get out of debt. What are we going to take a side hustle to get out of debt? What are the plans? How are we going to budget? How much is this going to be spent on this and that, and whatever the case may be? Ultimately, we both came into a conclusion in an agreement of what we wanted to do. And that's how really it was. Because if she said, no, I want to do it this way, and I said, no, I want to do this way, I don't know how our marriage would have, continued for 2 years later to today. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about communication, all about having a written plan, not just having a plan in your mind, because you can just easily forget, but having a written plan, something that you can see it face to face, a visual, be creative, and that really keeps us accountable. Not just that, but also each other.
Gotcha. George, anything you want to add as we continue?
Yeah, so I'll ask my first question because I got questions written down. Um, so one thing that I want to talk to you about is what was your inspiration for starting a YouTube channel? because I know your channel is all about financial advice. So like, how do you start? What was your inspiration? What's your story? Because I know that a lot of people don't know it. I personally don't know it.
Yeah. So it's all a pandemic, all right. So during the pandemic, we were on shutdown. I was working from home at home for 3 months, including my wife. So really, there was really nothing to do unless I just go outside and take a walk to the park, or just staying here all day with my wife and work and whatever. And then one day, I was like, since I'm passionate about what I'm doing, and I already share this information on Facebook and Instagram, I'm like, one day, like a light bulb just came out. I'm like, why don't I just start doing a YouTube channel and talking about finances, talking
Who gave you the best advice on YouTube?
about, you know what I'm saying? And I just started doing it. I'm like, why not do that? There's a lot of people that watch YouTube, and I can talk about it there and talk about our debt-free journey and money management and tips. So, and mind you, I'm not an expert. What's up, Isaac? I'm not an expert at editing. I'm not like savvy when it comes to stuff like this, but I learned. JP kind of helped me out, so that's what's up.
I
you
think we
know, I
have all of us
give credit to him. Just a little bit of credit. And I just started making videos. I started off with like, I don't know, I don't remember my first video, but I know I had to do with like paying off our first credit card, our student loan, I think it was.
Emmanuel, it's so funny because with you and Rise, but specifically with you, Emmanuel, when I help people with YouTube, I kind of help them out, for the beginning stages. And it's like, figure it out yourself. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you learned how to do the thumbnails, you learned how to do the editing, you learned how to operate this system. You learn so much as people are getting here way too late. Um, people are getting here way too late. So I'm sorry, but we're almost a quarter way done. But it just comes to show you guys that again we'll be promoting this on our next live stream, which is they usually go viral like 800 plus. But anyways, it's just amazing how you have that drive to just push forward your not just your views, but try to further the kingdom of God with everything that you've learned. And with that comes my question. How is it that you implement everything that you've learned and use it for the glory of God? What do you do? How is that transition? Because we know that the financial world is a crooked world. People do all kinds of things to get above others. They do illegal tax breaks, perhaps. They do certain things to try to get ahead. I mean, you would know. Perhaps businesses that aren't as legitimate, or perhaps they do business somewhere and they don't do it elsewhere. How do you just divide it and say, no, we can have a healthy financial way of spreading this?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, at the end of the day, it comes with the fear of the Lord. Like, if I have the fear of the Lord in my heart, now I'm not saying I'm perfect, but if I have the fear of the Lord in my heart, I'm going to be honest with what I do. You know what I'm saying? And in the finance world, I'm not going to be no crook. I'm going to earn my money the right way. You know what I'm saying? I work my 9 to 5, but I also do my Uber and Lyft. I can find ways to cheat around the system, even through taxes. I don't cheat on my taxes, and I know how to do it, but I'm not gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? And God still blesses me that way because I'm honest about it. Last tax season, I only got back $45, but I was happy because that means I really didn't owe much. You know what I'm saying? So it's okay. But at the end of the day, what I do is I'm just honest about how I do things. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, JP. My wife and I have a wife. For those who don't know, I have a wife, so I can't just go ahead and do.
Yeah, rub it in.
I can. I can't. I can't just go ahead and do Uber whenever I feel like it. You know what I'm saying? What I'm trying to say is my wife is a priority. You know what I'm saying? Yes, God, I have my wife, but I also have my job. Now, before, I'm not gonna lie, like 6, 7 months ago, I was doing Uber whenever I felt like it. I woke up at Sunday morning, I'll do it. Wake up at this time or do it late. And it was causing a little bit of problem because it'll take away of our hanging out time. She did not know when I was gonna leave. I was just told her, oh, I'm gonna go do Uber. And that would make her feel some type of way. So I was not being honorable to her. So we created a schedule. I'm gonna do Monday through Thursday, and Friday, Sunday is for us. You know what I'm saying? And that was one way that I was being honorable towards her and towards God, and even during with my finances in general, because I realized that yes, I may go hard with paying off debt and finances, but my wife comes before my finances. Like I can't go so hard with paying off debt that I forget about my wife. If that's the case, I'd rather just not do it and just be with my wife and just pay my debt with my 9 to 5 job. you know?
So here's my question. So I know that we have a lot of people on this while watching this who may not actually be married. So any advice for those people who are not married? Any advice for those couples who wish to be married but they can't afford to have a traditional wedding? For anybody that doesn't know about traditional weddings, it usually costs roughly around $30,000 to $45,000 for like a medium wedding. So what if you don't have the money? You can't afford that wedding cost. Wells already shaking his head no. He's like, I don't.
Nope.
It's serious. Even my personal wedding, we were super frugal, cost around $15,000, not even a little bit under $15,000. So, what do you do if you don't have the finances to afford this wedding?
Great question, because I know a lot of people stress about that, and because they want to have a beautiful wedding, typically the female for the most part. My wife did not want to have a wedding. I was the one who wanted to have it.
I wanted to have a wedding too.
Yeah, but for those who feel that way, I'm too broke to get married. You know, yes, there you can be broke to get married, and I'm gonna explain it on both sides. You can be broke to get married in the sense that if you can't even take care of yourself financially, how much? What do you're not gonna be taking care of the next person that you marry. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you are a guy and you are marrying somebody else's daughter, the parents of that woman, they want to know that you can take care of their daughter. If you cannot do that, you cannot expect the parents to, give up to you. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna work like that. You have to be a provider. You have to work. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be a bum and be like, oh, no, I'll just get married to her, things will work out. No, you gotta plan things out. Now, on the other spectrum, even if you don't have $30,000 for a wedding, which we didn't have that, and but you still have an income, you can still live in a place together with that person and provide. You can still get married. Listen, guys, you don't need to have a reception to get married. All you need to do is go to the court, pay in Miami $95 fee to get your the certificate, and that's it. The clergy or whoever marries you there, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Or if you want to do it at the church, you can do that too. But
Can I get a part B question? And this is just to clarify because I know that this is a question that a lot of people are confused by. I know the answer. You know the answer. But if I get married in the court, is that still being married in the eyes of God?
yes, because it is in the law. You know what I'm saying? Just because people don't get married in the church by the pastor, that doesn't mean they're not. God doesn't qualify. It's not. You're not disqualified because of that. As a matter of fact, before you can even go to the church, you have to go to the law first, anyways. You know what I'm saying? Like technically, when we went to the court, technically we were married already. You know what I'm saying? And we got our certificate, and then like 3 days later or whatever, we went to the park, not to the park, to the house that where we got married at
Emmanuel,
Airbnb. So
quick question, Emmanuel. And this is, Rise kind of touched on that. And Rise, I'm going to be asking you similar questions whenever Emmanuel gets to you. But we kind of touched on this on my channel. Suppose you don't want to go to a church and get married or by the law. And they say the Bible says that once you have sexual intercourse, you become one flesh. And
mhm.
there's a tradition that suggests, not a tradition, but there are many that say that once you have sex the first time, that is your partner, that is your spouse. Although now it becomes very controversial because there are people that sleep with 100 people. Does that mean they have 100 spouses? But suppose that this couple, they say, hey, I'm not really trying to go through the church or the state, but biblically speaking, if we have sex, we become one flesh. Let's have a verbal agreement. You're my wife and I'm your husband. It's a verbal agreement. As it stands right now, we pray together in the eyes of God, and you are my wife and I'm your husband. Is that wrong?
Yes, it is. God was very clear about obeying the laws of the land. as long as that you're not disobeying God through those laws. And one of the laws of the land again is in order for you to be legally married, you need to go through the law. So you can't just be like what you just said. Oh, you're my wife, you're my husband, and we pray together, we live together, we do this in front of we present ourselves in front of God. And no, you're not legally married. That's just your assumption, or that's just your desire or your fleshly desire, just so you can not go through paperwork or go through a possible divorce of how people feel about that. So yes, it is wrong, JP, because at the end of the day, you're sinning. You're fornicating with that person. You're not married. You think you are, but you're not. And unfortunately, we have, and I'm not knocking anybody. I know people personally that are not married. They live with their boyfriends or girlfriends, and they're not Christians. And I expect that from them anyways, because they're not believers. But at the end of the day, it is a sin in God's eyes. God didn't create sex for men and women. God created sex for husbands and wives. If you want to go more technical.
What if the law says you don't have to go through the law to get married, right? Like if you just say it, then you are.
So that's a good one, and I never thought about that one. Now my question is though, even if the law says you don't have to do it, and let's say you want to go to a pastor, or whatever, even with and again, if you get married through a pastor, they still have to sign paperwork and send that paperwork to the court system or whatever the case may be. I mean, I don't foresee that happening, at least in America, at least now, and I think it has to do because of benefits. When you get married, you get financial benefits on your taxes, especially if you're like a military man, right? And you're in a relationship, your girlfriend cannot get benefits that you have because you're not married. But once you marry him or marry her, you will be able to get the benefits simply because you're married, legally married. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's wrong. Wrong. You're fornicating. It's a sin.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm since we're asking questions, I'm just going to clarify this. Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that's why we said that you can get married if you have to. Like, let's say, for example, this is your partner and you can't wait, then you should get married through the court system. However, just make sure that you're able to provide for this person. You may not be able to provide for a $30,000 wedding, but if you guys are able to provide for a person, or if you guys are already living together and you guys became of the faith, get married. Go get married in the court, and then think about marriage, and then think about making a marriage later on. Because it's difficult if you guys are living together and like you guys been together for 2 years. Like, what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And last thing, because I know this interview is all about you, is a pastor explained it to me like this: when you're getting married, the best thing to do is to become like this. Become this, intertwined. This is really hard to break free. However, a lot of us, we want to be like this. So once we have a problem, to not marry, we're going to bounce. And that's what happens. Well, what we do when people say they're not married, what they like is that freedom or that option to leave or to escape as easy as possible.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy because listen, if you watch one of my videos on my channel, guys, where my wife and I, we actually on a day of our wedding anniversary, we spoke about about getting in debt for a wedding. Listen, we weren't gonna get married like a typical wedding. We were just gonna go to the court and that's it. But God blessed us and had people pay for our wedding. But if it wasn't for that, we weren't gonna get married. We were just gonna go to the court that way and that's it. You know what I'm saying? We weren't gonna get in debt for a wedding.
I asked more than 5 questions, and George, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, I got you. So can you tell us specifically what is your debit-free plan? Because I feel like a lot of my followers don't know what your debit-free plan is specifically. So if you let us in a little bit about it.
Yeah, sure. So we have a method, right? JP loves one of the methods. So we have a method called the debt snowball. All right, and you can see in one of my videos I explain it. But the debt snowball pretty much is that you line up all your debt from smallest to largest, no matter the high interest rate, and you make minimum payments on all debt except for the smallest one. You pay the most you can. once you finish that small debt, whatever you were putting on that, you add it to the next debt while making minimum payment on the next one. And it becomes bigger and bigger, and you knock those debt quicker for faster wins and all that. And psychologically speaking, now you have the debt avalanche, which is total opposite. You all your debt is from biggest to smallest. You pay it that way from biggest to smallest, and you pay it off. Now, me and my wife, we use the debt snowball. That's our plan. And statistically speaking, both plans work. All right, JP did it too with the other one, but both plans work. Now, statistically speaking, more people have been success in the debt snowball more than the debt avalanche, and the reason why is because of the psychological effect. Because imagine trying to eat an elephant in one shot. You're gonna get tired. You're gonna get full. You're gonna feel like I can never do it. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get weary down the road. But if you start eating a little mouse, you can eat that quick. You know what I'm saying? You attack the smallest debt. When you attack that smallest debt, you're gonna feel so good about yourself, and you're gonna be like, "Oh wow!" Like that gives you that boost to go on to the next one. That's why most people are successful at it. So we follow that plan. And 2 years ago, we got married, and we had $67,000 in debt combined. Combined. She had more debt because of her student loan, but we had that combined. 2 years later, we only have about $34,000 left. And God willing, by December of 2021, we should be debt free.
Wow, the end of this year.
God willing.
That's crazy. That's incredible. You know, it's funny. Me and my wife, we did the debt snowball without actually knowing what the debt snowball was. Like we just thought it. We thought it through. Usually, we look at our finances for the because we get biweekly checks for that 2 week period, and we started planning out that snowball, and we did that. Another thing that we did was that we took out a lump sum credit loan. So like. Because what happened with us is that our money was accumulating. So, and what happens is you do minimum on everything, you never pay it off, right? So we decided to just lump it all together into one thing and make sure all our credit cards were paid off. And now we're paying off the lump sum, and that's
consolidated.
Yeah, consolidated too much.
Yes, Yes, that's the right word. We consolidated our debt, and then we don't use our cards. We don't use any of those cards at all. But that's what we do personally.
Yeah, and I wanna also say something. Listen, if you get in debt for a wedding, you're not sinning. Okay, I just want to throw it out there.
Okay.
It's not morally bad to get in debt for a wedding. Do I think it's wise? No. You know what I'm saying? Do I think that you become less of a Christian or unchristian? Of course not. God is still gonna love you whether you pay $3,000 or $20,000 to get into debt for a wedding. But you gotta count the costs in the long run, especially when kids come. You know what I'm saying? My wife and I, we don't have kids for a reason. We don't have kids right now because we want to be debt free. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot, if you have kids when you're in debt, you're sinning or you're going against God. Of course not. Matter of fact, if anybody comes and tell me, listen, I'm in debt, but I want to have a child, should I wait or not? I'm like, honestly, that's between you and God. God is not going to teach you if you have a kid while in debt. And if you really want a child, go ahead, have a child, but make sure you pause your debt snowball the way you were doing and save up as much cash you can for the next 9 months because you got to prepare for the child.
Also, happy accidents do happen. So, just letting you know.
Yeah, accidents do happen.
It ain't always that you wanted that child that time. Sometimes we get happy accidents, right?
Yep.
You know what's funny, Emmanuel, when you told me about the Avalanche, and you were telling me how much, you was like, oh, there's that snowball and it's the Avalanche, and you told me all about the snowball. But then the Avalanche was like so appeasing to my brain, the way my brain works. Like, wait a minute, you're telling me I could attack my biggest debt, and then all the little smaller ones get smaller and smaller as they go, and that's how my brain computed what you told me. So it's like the other one makes sense, but then when I saw the opportunity to tackle the big one, I was like, wait a minute, I'll tackle this one, and I went I broke its jaw.
Yeah.
And then by the time that one was done, I was like, look at these little baby loans. I said, I'm gonna attack the next one. It broke its jaw. And now it's like I'm just chilling. Like I'm just like really just like
this is what I mean, that both of them work, but most people can't handle the avalanche because they get weary trying to eat an elephant in one shot. You know what I'm saying? They just can't. That's why, psychologically speaking, most people they're better off with the depth snowball because they get faster wins, which motivates them even more to get out of debt.
Gotcha.
This is a question. This is a question for our married couples or people who are thinking about getting married or whatever. How do you personally keep Jesus at the center of your marriage?
Awesome.
Y'all told me to get 5 questions. I was like, all right.
Those are good questions, man. You know,
that's my 5.
there's a lot that comes in hand. Like, yes, we say, "Oh, I want to get married," and it's a beautiful thing. But I was nervous. Like, of course, I wanted to get married, but I was nervous before getting married. Like, I wasn't having cold feet, but I was just getting nervous. I'm like, damn, like I'm gonna be the sole provider, or I'm gonna be like the head of the household, not the head in the sense I'm better than her, I'm over her, but I'm the head of the household. Like, I'm gonna have a lot of responsibility on my hand. So when I mess up, I can't go ahead and blame Adam and Eve for it, even though they're the one who paved the way for us to suffer that way too. But as far as your question, you have to prioritize everything that you do in life. Because before being married, I still read a lot of books, but I used to read books on top of books. I'm a night owl. I'll sleep at 3, 4 in the morning, just watching sermons, going on YouTube, researching. So I got so used to that for so many years that when I finally got married, that was a hard thing to break because I was paying less attention to my wife while I wanted to be alone most of the time because I was like, damn, I can't read anymore, or I can't read as much as anymore. And that was being selfish without knowing. You know what I'm saying? So my priority had to change. God, my wife, my job, and everything else. But it took a while, Jonathan. It wasn't something that I got married and everything came out like that. No, we've had fights, not physical fights, like verbal arguments.
I mean, maybe that's physical fights. You shouldn't tell us here. I will pray for you, but
we had arguments. There's many times that she had to express her anger, express her there was time that she told me that I made her feel like she was in second place in everything. And you know how that made me feel like, damn, like, shoot, it makes me feel so guilty, But over time, as we start to get better, we pray together, read the word of God together, really sitting down and unwinding yourself for your everyday life and just sitting and meditating. I'm like, okay, what is it that I'm doing too much that my wife feels like she's in second place? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It took prayers, literally prayers and communication. Because I don't like conflict, Jonathan. I run from conflict. And that goes because of my past with my mom. That was my coping mechanism. I run from conflict. My mom did not treat me well. She did not speak to me well. So what did I do? I shut down and I'm out. With my wife, when
my mom was hard on me too. Is that a Dominican mom thing?
Yep. So when
it's so funny. I remember I'd be talking to George on the phone, and then George is like, "Hey, bro, talk to you later. I'm talking to my mom," and I already knew what that meant.
When my wife would confront me about something, I would shut down. I would leave the house, but I'll shut down. Like, I don't know what to say. I just don't say, and that would get her even more mad. And we had to work through that. It's not easy, and unfortunately, that's my past. But I'm a man now. I'm in Christ, and I have to work my way out of that. And I'm better than before. I'm not gonna lie. I'm better, but it takes time. You know what I'm saying? Marriage is a journey. It's a ministry. So that's how we put Christ at the center of it all. Now, sometimes do I fall off? Like I go to the wayside, or I put too much attention in that? She'll remind me, or the Holy Spirit will let me know. You know what I'm saying? So that's how we do these things. It's constant communication. I'm a part that I love her. I have no choice. She sleeps with me in the same bed every day. We can't just go out without communication.
Okay, question. Now that you're there, that's a question I wanted to ask you. Under any circumstances, is it ever okay for a husband to sleep in the couch just for some separation for a season in time?
A season or a night? Because I've done a night. but it's
A
season.
night.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
a night. Like you're just so upset. You guys went at it, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna just take a nap at the couch.
Well, fortunately, that never happened with us.
oh bless you.
However, there's been times that I did sleep on the couch just because the couch was so comfortable and I just wanted to sleep on the couch. But normally, yeah, that never happened to us. Thank God. We've had arguments, like big arguments, but we still stayed in the bed. Even as uncomfortable I was next to her, I didn't go to the couch. I didn't go anywhere. I stayed next to her. We did what we can to not sleep in our anger. You know what I'm saying? But if you're speaking in general, is it ever okay? I don't think it's sinful. I think for each couple, it depends on what the situation is, how they handle the situation, what the problem was, but I can't speak for everybody else. I can't.
Yeah, I think because I'm talking about myself. I think me and my wife were blessed to not have that many fights. I yeah, we don't have that many fights every year, so like that's a blessing. But sometimes the fights that we do have tend to be bad, unfortunately, and we've gotten better at that. But there has been situations like that, and that's not even a knock on anything else. I think sometimes separation is good because you could do something real bad in that situation. If you're still heated at each other, like something bad can happen. So sometimes it depends on you. Some people need separation.
Yeah.
Some people want that person to be there, but it really depends. Obviously, that's a difficult situation, but I don't think it's sinful per se. That's what I would say.
So you have, and sometimes just to let things cool off.
Yeah,
Slept in the
yeah.
just to let it
Sometimes,
cool off.
And I think that's important. You know why? This is very important now that you brought that up because like I said, I'm the one that runs away from conflict. My wife is the one that charges you, not charging you in a bad way. Like she's the one who wants it, like to solve it then and right there. Me, I need to like my time. I need to like relax and like think about things. She had to learn, and this is like an advice from our former pastor. Like, he told her, okay, I understand that you wanna, attack that problem and solve it, but Emmanuel, he's not that great at it. He needs some time to think about it. So why not try the other way around, where instead of you want to solve the problem right then and there when he shuts down right away, how about you guys talk about it and say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna give you time to think about it before we come and talk about it. And I would let her know. I'm like, you know what, I'll come back to you in a few hours because I'm gonna step down. I don't know what to say, and I have to really think about it.
you know,
And
I shut down a lot too. My wife and me, she's helped me a lot with the whole communicating aspect. But I think it comes a lot down to our upbringing, right? Since we both got little mommy issues here. Like my upbringing, like my mom was very confrontational, and because of the confrontation, I will shut down a lot. So like when I came into my marriage, confrontation led me to shut down a lot. And it's something that I'm still trying to learn and grow from, that idea of like being able to communicate better. Because I don't think I was a very good communicator when I first started. And I still don't think I'm a very good communicator.
yeah,
I'm working on it.
Is it true? Is it true that how you treat your stop cheating, Emmanuel? We're not doing questions yet. But is it true that how you treat your mom, you'll treat your wife?
you
You
know,
heard of that saying before?
I
I
heard of that.
I say that
You
a
heard it
lot.
before?
I say that a lot to the youth at work. Now, obviously, it's not true for every single person, but generally speaking and psychologically, yes.
I would say if you're able to, at least I always say a lot of the things that transfer over from my relationship with my mom has transferred over to my relationship with my wife.
Yeah.
So I would say there's certain truths in that, right? Because your mom knows you the best until you meet your partner, and your partner ends up knowing you the best. So, like the way you handle confrontations, the way you do certain things, the way you may show love to that person may be very similar to how you show love to your parents. So, it there's some truth to it. There's some truth. Not all the not it's not completely true, because there's some relationships where the mom and the children, their bridges have been burned down completely.
Mhm.
And that person may love his wife, maybe over the moon with his wife, or maybe love their relationship. But there's some relationships where the son mom relationship has been completely burned down. or that, or that. I don't want
Yeah.
to just.
Now we only have 20 minutes. Are we gonna do questions now? Because
Uh,
I can't, I can't stay here.
Let me just
Um,
ask one more question. Let me ask one more question.
couple of more. You said last.
You go
One,
on before.
one more, and then we go into the group questions.
All right, go ahead.
How do you end up managing money during vacations or date nights? Like for myself personally, I struggle with the vacations and money because what happens is I might allot a couple of dollars, I might allot a certain amount of money for us to do something.
Mhm.
Something dope might come up during that vacation, and I want to do that as well. So,
Yeah.
how do you end up managing your money? What's any advice for that during vacation or date nights?
Yeah. So, as far as vacation itself, we have gone on vacation, like out of state, whatever, to visit my home, where I used to live or whatever. First of all, you gotta budget everything. You gotta know how much you're gonna spend or how much you want to spend. You know what I'm saying? If not, then you're gonna just spend over your budget. Now, this takes a strong will no for you to not spend more money than what you already budgeted. You know what I'm saying? But that takes practice and that takes time. Because even though I budget to this day, there's some times I'll just buy food when it wasn't already in my budget.
Yeah,
Love to eat. But a vacation, we need to be very wise about that. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're in debt and you're going on vacation, you need to be even more wise. I mean, I won't even tell you, don't even go on a big vacation until you're debt free. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? But again, you have to budget everything down of how much you're going to spend. Because if not, your money's just gonna go flying out of your hands. You know what I'm saying? And there's an app called Every Dollar. You learn how to budget. It takes like about 3 months for you to like fully get it. All right. And you're gonna mess up here and there. You're gonna spend more money than usual, but you'll get used to it. You know what I'm saying? But it all takes a strong no for you to say, I cannot spend more money on this.
that's a good idea. So every dollar is an app that helps you budget. Usually, I use like a spreadsheet
Yeah.
or when I'm being very lazy, I use my notes from my iPhone. But every dollar seems like a good suggestion.
Yeah. Yeah. Like for example, grocery shopping, we don't use our debit card. We use cash only. What we
Mm,
do is we put $400 in a cash envelope just for that month of groceries, and we shop every 2 weeks. Now, every time we shop, or for the whole month, let's just say, if we have money left over, which like every single time for the past year, we've always had money left over. We either pay debt with it or we just keep it to roll it over for the next, grocery. Now, if we were to spend it all, that tells us, okay, there's no money in the envelope, there's no money in the bank. That's how I look at it. I'm not going to the bank or the ATM to get more money because the goal was 400 the max, and that's it. You have to have that strong no in you to be like, I cannot spend any more money. This is the goal that I made, and I have to keep it that way. And again, this is not like, damn, I can't do anything, or this is like slavery. I'm like, no, slavery is when you actually spend money and you can't even control it, then being in debt. That's slavery.
you're slave to your addiction.
When you make a budget, you are controlling what you spend versus the other way around. The money controlling you.
All right. There's a question that I saw here because now we don't have much time. And I'll touch on it and then let you hit this. I'll let you guys tackle this. Is incest a sin because God told Adam and Eve to multiply, and that would mean their kids would have had sex with each other? Let me be very clear with this. Newsflash: we're technically related to Adam and Eve today. So that's number one. We are still technically related to Adam and Eve because that branch and humanity as a whole was so small. That was the only reality of the fact. Once we've multiplied to 8 billion, there is no longer any reason to go in that direction. And especially scientifically, we're not able to because the child can come out any type of way. There's a bunch of complications that can come from that. And quite frankly, that's sick. But
Mhm.
back then, that was a means to multiply. And perhaps God permitted that situation because it didn't mess with your DNA. It didn't mess with the child, and therefore it's different then than it is now. Listen, you have no excuse. There are 9 billion people in the world. If you have to, there's 9 billion people, all races, all creeds. It's like, when people ask me this question, it's just really, now obviously he tried to cop out and said his cousin asked, but here.
I've been seeing that I've been hearing stories about in our countries, like in Latin countries, that people been dating each other's cousins and stuff. And I'm like, come on, guys, we gotta do better. It's true, like as Joel says, there's 9 billion people in the world. The likelihood, as he says scientifically, of your child getting deformity or coming out mentally retarded, and when I say obviously mentally retarded, I'm talking about scientifically, like it's very high. It's true. So,
yeah. Before we go to the next question, JP, for anybody that is in debt or want to learn or have guidance on how to be debt free and maybe want to learn about the debt snowball method or the Avalanche, I am going to post my email on the chat and also my Facebook and Instagram. You can follow me there and you can shoot me an email and we can chop it up. And again, what I'm doing works. And this is not something that I came up with. This is not something that Dave Ramsey came up with. So if you want to know more information, there is. You can find me there, and you can subscribe to my channel as well. All right, go ahead.
Definitely subscribe to his channel. Good financial advice.
Yes. Okay. Next question.
Does a government certificate equal marriage or an honest commitment? I'm going to stop you right here. It equals marriage because you technically aren't married until you go into you get your form, and it's illegal. It's something that's legally required. Not legally required to get married, not legally required, but you have to have that document before you get married. Even if you get married in front of a pastor, you still have to send that document to the office so it can be recorded. And there's a lot of legal reasons for it. And the reason why we're saying this is because we don't want to put a paywall between you getting married and you having a wedding. A wedding can come later. Now, my wife will bother me because I wanted to have a wedding now, and I did that, and we did the wedding at that moment. But you're not able to at all. A wedding can always come later, but we're not stopped from getting married. I would rather you get married than to live a life of sin.
Yeah. Let me add something about marriage. Yes, you want to marry somebody because obviously it's of God and it's God-given and because you truly love that person. But you also got to look at the benefits that come with it as well. As I mentioned before, for example, another benefit. For example, let's say my wife, we were just boyfriend and girlfriend and we're living with each other. Or we wouldn't even live with each other. We were just together. And let's say, and we love each other, we want to spend the rest of our life with each other, even having a kid with each other. We're not married. Let's say I go into the hospital and I'm in a coma. My wife cannot sign anything for me. Why? Because she's not legally married. What if I wanted the plug to be taken off? But I can't tell her that because I'm in a coma. So she can't do anything. She can cry, she can fight all she wants. She cannot sign those papers. But now that she's married to me, she can have that will. If I say, if I'm in a coma one day and I want that plug to be taken off, and I can't sign it, she has the right now to sign that paper and say, I want the plug to come off. But if it's just a girlfriend and boyfriend, they cannot do that. Also with kids, you got to be careful. Sometimes, in many cases, if you, let's say the father, you are with the child and you are the only one that can pick up the child at the school because you're the legal guardian, the mother probably can't even do it. You know what I'm saying? So we need to be wise and knowing all the benefits that are there as well. But don't get married because of the benefits. That's what I'm saying also.
Thank you for that comment, Isaac. We love you too.
Yeah.
Can we say
I answered in the chat with a big NOPE.
Can we answer? Can we leave that question for tomorrow? Can women be apostles or prophets? Because tomorrow, we're going to be talking.
Hold it.
Hold on, what? No.
Nah, don't say it because I'm gonna push it. I'm gonna make the thumbnail, make it cute. I want people to be surprised.
All right, just ask that question tomorrow. Ask that same question tomorrow. I'm not gonna answer it today. This answer that same question tomorrow.
Yo,
Woo!
tomorrow's gonna be crazy,
Tomorrow's
son.
gonna be crazy. Tomorrow's gonna be crazy. So just ask that same
That
question
chat's
tomorrow.
gonna blow up. I have to start uploading. Well, you know what? When I end this broadcast, don't leave, guys. Stay on the broadcast when I end it, okay? So we could just talk about this a little bit.
Also, while people have questions, I'm gonna keep adding stuff, more nuggets or whatever. Something about finances is that listen, you can make 100K a year and still be broke.
Yep.
Because many people make 100K and they're broke because they're spending more than what they make. Personal finance is not a math problem. You can know all the math in the world, but it's the behavior. So personal finance is 80% behavior and 20% head knowledge. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of money, but if your behavior was stuck, you're not gonna get anything. You're gonna be more in debt.
So
That is
Emmanuel,
why people are in debt.
Emmanuel, you're telling me that someone that makes $40,000 a year can have more money than someone that makes 100,000.
Not more money in the sense of like how much they make a year, but because they're spending more what they make, then yes.
Yeah. I mean, just going off Emmanuel's point, there's some people who are house poor. When you're house poor, that means that you're spending more than 30% of your monthly wages on your like for example, I live in a pretty small apartment. I like my apartment pretty cozy. But we chose this apartment because we didn't want to be house poor. We could have gone and tried to reach out a different apartment, but because we knew that we had financial goals. Long term, me and my wife want to have a house. We said you're gonna stay in this place for the time being because of the convenience of price. So that's something that you guys have to take into account. There's people who are living to pay off their car, and they're living to pay off their house. And then when they end up, they have student loans on top of that. And when they end up, they don't have that much extra money. The reality is they made that most Americans cannot survive or pay off $1,000 emergency. Now think about that. Most Americans cannot pay off $1,000 emergency, meaning that a lot of us are living paycheck to paycheck. What Emmanuel is trying to teach you guys, and this is why we're asking you to subscribe to this channel, how to get out of that rat race where you're living paycheck to paycheck. Because you know what? A lot of us, we want to give to God, but we don't got anything to give. So let's be realistic. The more whether we are with our finances, the more we can be stewards and give to God.
Exactly. And what about giving to others? Like how beautiful it is and amazing that you're able to bless other people. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, even though I'm in debt, my wife and I had the privilege to bless other people. Not with a lot because we don't want to, delay our debt process. But we were able to bless certain people with finances that they needed help or whatever, just like here. And we have a rule in my family, between my wife and I. We don't lend people money. We don't lend people money at all. We rather just give it to you and bless you.
Yeah, I agree with you.
A lot of bad failed relationships because of people owing money, and then Thanksgiving comes around and you don't see them or whatever the case may be. But there's people that had asked my wife, "Oh, can you lend me $50?" because they were struggling or they were jobless, and I said, "Just give it to them." Like we have the money. It's not gonna kill us. Just give it to them. We'll bless you with it. And
So you don't loan people money.
We don't.
Neither do I. It's just too much of a struggle, too much of a hassle. You're holding that over your head.
Exactly.
I give you the money. Now, something that we do is that if somebody wants to out of the graces of their hearts to give us back the money, that's fine. What is different is that if I give you money and you continuously ask for money, I'm going to be inclined the second and third time to say, no, you know what? Let's chill out here. But we generally are more willing to just give money. We don't do loans. It doesn't make sense.
I'm going to answer your question, Paulina. And at the end of the day, if I loan money to somebody, then I'm contradicting everything I teach or believe. You know what I'm saying? So I'm being consistent. But Paulina, we're talking about money, blessing people with finances. Like, for example, my wife's cousin, she's young and she's building her own little business and whatnot. Now she didn't have enough money because she needed I think she needed a printer or she needed something. And she told me that the price that they were asking for, So I told her, you know what? I got you. I'm gonna give you 200. I think it was $100 or $200. But little did she know that when my wife was gonna go visit her, we were gonna get double that. You know what I'm saying? So we were able to give her like $400 right there in cash, so she can buy whatever she needs to buy to start her business. That's an example of blessing other people, Paulina.
Wow. All right. So we got 4 minutes left. Gentlemen, should we announce what's gonna happen tomorrow, or what do you? What's your call, man?
I think you should announce it because that honestly, that would if somebody was to announce that to me, I would be so willing and ready to hop on tomorrow. Like I'll set my time, make sure I do everything else beforehand to go. That's on you. That's on you.
I'm gonna drink my water.
All right. Let me announce this. Very, 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 very rarely do I do this. Tomorrow, we will be making a video, or I should say that it's in the word that it's in the word show. We're gonna be confronting Marcus Rogers' false prophecies. So be there tomorrow because we will be exposing his lies, his tactics, and his manipulation of scripture to justify his tactics. So be there tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern on the It's the Word show.
Amen. I'm excited for that.
And I don't know if I should make a separate video, but I don't want to because here's what's going to happen. Marcus Rogers has a team of people that watch. And so Marcus Rogers will be tuned in tomorrow. That's a guarantee. In fact, if some of his followers watch it, they'll hit him up. He'll be in attendance tomorrow. So expect Marcus Rogers to be watching. He's going to be there. And I'm telling you that he's there because, when I was part of I love Dore. That's my brother. Like I talk to him every day still. But when I was part of his ministry, whenever people, because he's a public figure, just like Marcus Rogers, so much so that the Canadian Prime Minister knows Dore. But Prime Minister being President of Canada, not in a good way, by the way. But whenever someone would make a video talking about Dore, I would know it because there's a way to find out anytime someone makes a video about you in the YouTube feeds. I've been in the game for a while. And so Marcus Rogers does the same because when I watch a video, I do my homework on Marcus. So when you put on a video of Marcus and you search it and other people talk about him, I go on those comment sections. And if the video is good, Marcus Rogers comments and says, "Hey, brother, God bless you," etc. And then when the videos are bad, he's nowhere in existence. But the video has a bunch of dislikes, so he marked this territory there. And so, gentlemen, just get ready for retribution, and we need to be in our A game. And there's a couple of things I want to tell you guys, but that'll be in house. So, yeah, it'll be in house. Yeah, it'll be in house because tomorrow we got to come to our A game. Yeah. And then obviously this is going to be promoted tomorrow on the live stream. So obviously we're going to have this link on the live stream because a lot of people didn't get the notification for this. I don't know why, but yeah. So yes, Isaac, it'll be interesting. So I'm actually going to make the thumbnail, create the event, and it's going to be on all three of our channels. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts. I have to still get timestamps ready for certain videos. I have to get timestamps and download certain things, but again, that's in house. So all right, we got 1 minute left, and I gotta be off the record, or else I could lose my job. So God bless you guys, Emmanuel.
Thank you to JP for taking his lunch break out here to join this stream. Real quick, so you can see it.
I'm on my lunch break.
Lunch break.
All right. Okay. So we did have a question, but unfortunately, we'll tackle this tomorrow because we can't do it now. So,
yeah. That question.
God bless you guys. We're gonna be
questions. Hold them for tomorrow. That's your second question that we're gonna answer tomorrow.
Yeah. Guys, stay on. Don't leave.